Y'all get ready, get ready, get ready. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Oh, yeah, it's me. It's your boy, the Louisiana Country Boy, coming at you live once more again. And if y'all looking at the screen, y'all see my twin. That's right, that's right. I got a twin. It's two of us. You're getting tag team tonight. Tag team back again. Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. This is a very special Thursday night, 9 o'clock edition of Table Talk. Yes, and I am so excited that I have a wonderful gentleman, a gentleman I met personally, even though we look like twins, but I met him personally at the Dad Summit here in Houston. I met him, and I'm telling you, it was an instant connection with this man. He is genuine, he is true, he is real, he 100%. So am honored. I am honored. The old country boy is honored. My worthless 2 cents table talk is honored to have another legend, another leader in the state. Boy, look here. If y'all didn't know, Texas is full of some stuff now. Woo! Texas loaded. Lord, we were last night. Then we get. Wait a minute. Look here now. I might have overstepped last night. Now look. Now you. Now she was on last night, and I called her Madam President. Maybe y'all be running mates. Can they have two presidents at the same time? Because I think, yeah. Both of them out the state of Texas. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, look here. Country boy done said all he gonna say. I ain't finna do no introduction. I ain't finna do nothing else. I'm finna shut my old trap over here, and I'm finna let him have the scene. So, as I always say, sit back, relax, put on your headgear. Oh, KT, oh, KT, oh, KT. Put something in their ear. Have your way, my brother.
How you doing, my brother? How you doing, man? I'm doing glad to be here. Enjoying this format. This is really nice. And we have a platform, uh, and I think that says a lot about who you are. And and the work that you want to do and you're trying to do.
Yes.
And as you said, we met in this at the Dad Summit.
Yes.
Dads make a difference.
Yes, sir.
And in fact, you were one of the first individuals there. So that really made it easy for us to have a conversation. And like I said, there were some things that I've noticed. I noticed the trim that you you operate with. So I said, hey, that can't be too bad of a deal.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
But the intent for me to be at that conference, and I'm always glad to meet people and to meet a diverse group of people, but the topic where we're talking about the value of fathers and the young brothers. I hope that maybe someone from the Pelsion is listening because Joshua over there, he's one of these young men that I admire,
Yes.
And whenever he needs me, he has access to me. But the conference in its totality, when you are thinking about dads make a difference, I think that's a real conversation that we need to continue having because we make a difference in so many different varieties, different areas of our society that I think are overlooked, and we make a difference. And I say this, boy, we can make a healthy difference, or we can make a not so healthy difference.
Right.
One of the things that I like to talk about when I'm talking with fathers or with families, I kind of ask, what is your hourglass? I ask, take a look at an hourglass. And see if you can just imagine the functionality of an hourglass. Normally there's two cylinders.
Yes.
that top and the bottom. And so if you are this father, but there's another thing that's happening with that hourglass also, and that's time. It's not standing still.
Right, right, right.
And time doesn't stand still in the world that we live in, at all. I mean, tomorrow, when tomorrow comes, yesterday is gone.
That's it.
And so when you take a look at that hourglass, you have to use this metaphor to say, what are you passing on?
Mm. Wow, wow.
What are you pass? What are you passing to? You remember when we talked about life and death earlier? We talked about that small dash.
Yes.
Well, you think about that hourglass. That hourglass, if you think of how it's shaped, and I'm not talking about the hourglass that the Barcades were talking about 36, 24. I'm not talking about that. That's a whole nother. I think it was a Barcade thing that I mean, now maybe that was Commodore talking about that brick house, but that was Commodore. But but I'm not talking about that hourglass, right? But I'm talking about the hourglass of life.
Yes.
And if you think about, and this is the thing that I try to get men to understand is that what are you passing on, right? And where did you get what you're passing on?
Mm. Wow.
But not only that, but then but you have this this power in making decisions, right? Because as you get ready to pass, you can decide what you want to pass on or not.
Mm.
But see, if you don't have an interruption in thought,
Yes.
see, if you don't have an interruption in thought, then what you do is pass on. You just continue. You're just going through life as life presents itself. You're not going through life presenting yourself.
Right, right.
And so that's where that interruption needs to take place to where it brings you to the consciousness of your behavior. So then you can associate your behavior with some degree of power, some degree of value. One of
Yeah.
the things I try to always highlight in the conversation I'm having is what is your value as it relates to particularly when your relationship with your children,
Right.
you leave a legacy whether you want to or not.
Hmm.
I
Yes.
mean, you're gonna leave one whether you want to or not, and so, but again, you have to have that interruption to think about your legacy. See, to think about what a legacy means, because see, if you have that interruption and you connect that word value to that word legacy, then perhaps then the way you live and
Yes.
conduct yourself, right, changes because now those things require an expectation of it,
Hmm. Yes. Yes.
right? But if you never have that interruption, you just go through life, man. I mean, and not understanding your worth. I mean, it's not saying that you don't live a good life, but I don't know if you live a fulfilling life.
Right. Right.
And so that's the thing, that's required. I think that's required, and and I think we have to have that conversation, men, in particular, men of color, like, and I boy, the word, men of color, I like to. It's an interesting word. I like to say I'm black. Uh, I think black men because I think our experiences are have been different historically, you know, um, and so I think the conversation that we have to continue to have and evolve around is is what are we passing on?
Right. Right.
You know, see every you see the whole our society, you know, talks about, you know, I mean, we use this word like trauma, uh, trauma informed care, uh, but I would suggest that that word, while it has powerful meaning, it's not always applied to black men.
Mm.
And then we have this element in this construct also around what we call adverse childhood experiences. That just means that your childhood was screwed up. Around because this is the family show. As someone used the word, the family you screwed up. And, but it also, and this is research, you know, by very talented uh, individuals that universities,
Right.
around the country. But when we start thinking about these adverse childhood experiences, it just says, hey, the more of them you have as a child, the more likely you're going to have an uphill battle
Right. Right.
as an adult.
As an adult, yes.
Well, again, I think that sounds good, and it's true, but society doesn't apply that to black men
Mm.
because if they did, when you think about it, just historically, the adverse things that black men have endured, then you would be able to say, hey, there's an abundance more resources
Right.
available to them. However, this is what we also know, though, and this is where we have to continue to be the greatness. Say the greatest. Hey, so let me in. That's what that part. Let me in. Yeah, but but I think that's why we have to also recognize that even when we are up against those things,
Right.
right?
Daddy, open it.
How great we are.
Hey. Daddy.
Hey,
Say hey.
hey, hey, hey. But I think even when we're up against those things, we recognize how we should recognize how great we are. I
Right.
think I think also, we have to become the authors of telling our own story.
Daddy, that's you.
We have to be the authors of telling our own story.
Hey,
Right. Stop.
Right, right. And
Daddy.
and that's the powerfulness that I think we sometimes surrender
Right.
uh,
Right.
when we look to others to tell our story, and particularly our stories to our children, to where we can give them a better understanding of of
Daddy.
what they're up against,
There's
but also how great they are. Right? That you can talk to them about their greatness. Uh, uh, and when we set that expectation,
That's
kids tend to try to,
Daddy.
they tend to try to make it happen. Yes.
Right. And that is so true. As I sit here, it's like, I had to come to that same thing. You have to come to what you talked about. We have to come to a point where that hourglass, where we have to, what we gonna do with it? What you gonna do with that sand? You have to come to that point where it's like, what's important?
Right.
Because eventually, for all of us, the sand gonna run out.
Oh yeah. No. Eventually, that hourglass. See, the thing about that hourglass, eventually, it lays flat.
Yes, yes,
See, eventually, and so whatever is in that, see, when it lays flat, whatever's left in the top,
Daddy.
is left in the top.
Right, right,
And you just hope that what's in the bottom is
right.
something that you passed on in a good way, that it impacts generations after you.
Yes, 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 yes. That
You
is
know,
that is that is so true. And I like what you said. Whether we want to, good or bad, we are going to leave. We are going to leave a legacy.
I mean, when my father's not here, but hey, he left a legacy. I
Right.
mean, and I guarantee if you would talk to him today, he probably wouldn't like the legacy, at least from my perspective, that is left, that he left, right? Uh, because I think he can do better. I think he could have done much better
Right. Right.
with the time that he had. I think he could have done better with the hourglass.
Yes. 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 And I personally, I had the same thing, and for me, because I have an older and I have a younger, and that was one of my things is my blessing is to be able to see like I had the opportunity to do different.
Bye, Daddy.
I had the opportunity to, what I messed up,
Right?
the things that, sometimes I can't say we, I can only talk about this old fella here. What I thought was important then, that what I realize is important now. Um,
Well, that says you had that interruption.
yes, 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 yes,
Right? I mean, you had that interruption. And and I think what we have to also remember, man, is that the environments that we come up in,
hmm,
right, program us not to have the interruption.
right,
See, the environments that sometimes our social system set up for us with is for us to get into a mainstream, right? And stay in that stream. Stay in that stream. Even if that stream is counterproductive and unhealthy, we stay in it, right?
yes, yes,
Because elements of our society benefit from. See, when we're in that stream, that means we're in the stream of ignorance, right?
mm,
Uh, uh, and when we're in the stream of ignorance, then you do ignorant things.
right,
And
right,
when you do ignorant things, then that's what the system really wants you to do, because now you give the system a lot more control over you, than those of us who have an interruption and realize we need to be walking upstream and not downstream.
wow, wow, that is so true. That is, it's kind of like, I guess we give our power away. We relinquish it. Knowing some or unknowing. By the ignorance, and some of us are to the point we are so there we're stuck in it. And if that makes we be ignorant and stuck in ignorant.
Well, I mean, you're in that stream. You're so caught up in that stream that you can't even see, you know, that it's taking you away from your purpose.
Right, right, right.
It's
Wait,
taking
hold on
life
just a
away
second.
from you.
Go ahead, go ahead.
It's taking life away from you. It's, so
Look, she might have got the car keys. I was gonna make sure she didn't drive.
I heard that.
I heard the car keys rattling. Okay,
I,
wait a
I,
minute.
I
Look,
heard
if you're
that.
going.
You don't want us to back it out, right? So, hey, wait a minute.
No, but I'm sorry about that. Um, but no, I truly get that. It's man, when you say it hits so home, it really does. It hits home. I don't know if anybody else, and I say blessed, and I call it blessed and highly favored to be able to have had the interruption and to get it right, if that makes any sense. To be able to, because a lot of people may not get that change, where it just, um, but I was blessed with it. To be able to come to that interruption, that boom, like hold up, wait a minute, and then get another opportunity. Um, and what I try to instill this is about don't waste it because you might not get another.
Absolutely. No, I think you mentioned something a few minutes ago, about uh, giving up power. I've always said that, and when I'm talking with fathers, is asking them not to surrender their power, right? And I try to reinforce that, and I'm not talking to you about a physical power. I'm talking to you about an intellectual power,
Mm,
right? But I'm talking to you a power that will make you move, that will make you take action on your behalf. Now, I'm talking to you about a power that's that's about giving you giving maintaining health for
yes,
your health mentally, uh, because at some point, you know, our children will grow up and they will at some point they may have some questions they want to ask
right,
you. And I would say this: they have a right. I know I thought I had a right to, but I was I was both angry and disappointed with my father a lot of the time.
mm,
They didn't get a chance to celebrate it nearly as much that as I recognized that my sisters, I had some sisters, like I have sisters who seem to have celebrated and a better experience with them in terms of spending time with them. And so, but I wanted to also, when I think about that hourglass, I didn't want to pass to. It's some things that I didn't want to pass on to the next generation that he passed on to me, and so,
mm,
but like, for instance, I mean, he wasn't there, and so there was some things I didn't learn. For instance, I threw a baseball up as high up to the sky as I could to catch my pop fly. Our other kids set their dad to throw them the ball.
right,
I wanted to make sure that it was some of those experiences that left what I call the hole in the soul,
mm,
right?
yes,
I wanted to make sure that I didn't create that pocket in his spirit,
right,
you know, because that hole and the soul, uh, I like to think that it's alive. It, and when kids and when kids and that goes back to how kids get caught up in the mainstream. When that hole is alive, well, we have to ask ourselves what feeds it.
right, right,
What's fueling it? Well, if you have ignorance fueling it, well, usually that's going to give you ignorance results, and then eventually ignorance fuel runs out a lot quicker than intellectual fuel.
right, right,
See, ignorant fuel don't multiply. It's just a subtraction,
yes,
right? Intellectual fuel is a multiplier,
yes,
right? And so, but if you have some fool feeding youth information about life and what responsibilities are and all of those things, then there's a good possibility that that young person who's listening to him is going to make the foolish decision.
right,
Right? And that's why I go back to what you say here is not to surrender your value as a father. And I tell dads this way. This is why you die earlier. Uh, it, and part of that's why you die early because, my brothers, is that when your kid has done bad and you have not been in their life,
mm,
hell, hell, you have to start thinking about, wow, would my kid have been better if I'd have been there?
right,
And then on the flip side, if your kid goes out and do great things, hell, if you wasn't there, you can't claim none of it either.
Right, right, right.
So, you owe for two already. And I think when you have to start to see that at some point as we mature, what values to you is start to is some of your contributions to this thing, to this thing called life, right? What have you done? What do you that thing called legacy?
Right.
And so and so I think what depression does, it's a place where it's not so much where you escape, but it's a place where you go, maybe go to repent.
Mm.
Maybe some elements of depression is where you go to, and maybe repent is not the word, but what I'm saying is you go to reflect deeper of what you didn't do with your opportunities that was presented to
Mm.
you. You know,
Wow, man, that I get that. And when you just said that is legacy. I don't know how many. For me personally, I can't talk again. It's just this old boy right here. When I think about legacy, I guess when some people may think about it, it's something that's tangible, money, houses, cars. The legacy this old boy thinks about here is not something that's tangible, but it ain't tarnishable either. I want to leave a legacy behind. I want to leave the legacy of love, the legacy of peace, the legacy of understanding, being able to forgive. I want to leave a legacy that that lasts, that has a foundation on some. Because guess what? All the houses, the old termites gonna eat them things up. Um, all the money, the old IRS gonna take all that. But those things that you can leave, that you can instill into the generations and generations to come. Um, those old things that I sit around and I talk about how we don't set out no more and shed. We don't sit out on the porch and talk about grandma and great grandma or granddad and great. We don't do that. See that for me there's been a disconnect as far as I see. For me, that's the legacy that I want to. Um, my baby just came in here and I got a picture of mama sitting over there. My baby's 3. My mama passed in 2013, but if she sees that picture, she say that's grandma.
I hear you.
Where, when do we understand what it is that we are leaving behind? What you said, you make a choice. You're gonna leave one. Which one you want to
Right,
leave?
right. And I think what I think our role can be, again, once we've had the interruption, and I think what we have to do is be very meticulous with our voices and really in our conversations that we are having with each other, you know, those of us who've had the interruption, we have to talk as though we've had the interruption. What I mean is that you can't buy into the small chatter
Mm,
that does nothing. It does nothing but create uh, uh, a space, man, for folks to keep down that same path without having interruption. And so I think that's one of the things that I think that we have to be very, and I mean, I'm going to tell you something, but that's why when you saw me at the conference, if you saw my whole demeanor, I mean, I was trying to go out and meet people, what I mean? And so, because part of that is trying to help set that tone, right? In that space. And I think we have some ownership. I think each individual
Yes.
have some ownership there. I mean, uh, you know, folks say, well, they don't do this, they don't do that. I said, well, who is they?
Right.
I
Right.
mean, you know, you know, uh,
Yes, sir.
we are the they. And so, I mean, and so sometimes it requires someone step out. And then we need to recognize also uh, the nature of how things are changing. I mean, how, I like to tell people I grew up in the neighborhood. I live in the community today. And I think that those things are fundamentally different.
Mm.
And so that in my neighborhood when I grew up, I could go next door down the street and get some sugar, some ketchup.
Right.
Uh, uh, but I don't go next door to do a whole lot of anything in the community. And, but not saying that the people that in my community are not nice people. I'm
Right.
not saying. Uh, but the people in my neighborhood, I grew up with them.
Right.
And,
Right.
but neighborhoods keep changing, landscapes keep changing, and I think we have in the value that I think fathers should be added to the equation is as the landscape of our society changes, right? We should be the ones helping our kids navigate through it because there's a good possibility that we have experienced some element of, the, the, the change that's taking place in society.
Right. Right.
In fact, most times, hell, we have experienced it before anyone else experienced
Yes.
it. And, and I think again, what I love about who we are most of the, and many of the times is that in spite of all the things that these systems have offered against us, I mean, we still excel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we still excel. I mean, and that's not an easy feat because I think if you just take a look where you are today and just spin around in your mind, man, and think about everybody that you grew up with,
Right.
right? Shit, I'm gonna tell you something. You're gonna recognize this. A lot of them not here. A lot of them got caught up so much in that stream that we was talking about. That stream has drowned some of their lives completely out. Whether it's taking them, to alcohol and drugs, or it's taken to incarceration, whatever it's taken, and it's taken a bunch of them out. I mean,
Yes.
I would say if you go back and look at where you are today, and think about the brothers that you grew up with, I mean, in many cases it's 30 to 40% of them no longer here.
I am. And and I gotta say this, and because I came from the country, KT, and let me tell you something. I got to give a roo for my foundation. I really do. And the foundation that I came up on, I was just actually talking to somebody from home the other day. That little old place I came from back in Louisiana. If I tell you that it instilled such, it was that community. It was that foundation. It was that it was its stability there. And as I look around, there are so many from that place that have flourished, that or out. And as I was driving the other day, I was actually thinking like, man, it is such that little town there in Louisiana, Grambling, Louisiana. And it could be because of that's what it was. It was a culture. It, it,
Absolutely, yeah.
it is a culture. Um, and the people, everyone that is there and has come up there. Look, we came up from going to the daycare to junior high to element. Every step of the way, it was never this. It was always this. And we were some things that were instilled in us again, for me personally, I tell you, if I wouldn't be sitting here, and I know a lot of other people from right there can tell you they wouldn't be where they are today if it had not been for what was poured in. What we had poured in was a community of people that cared. We had poured into us. Uh, it was like a nation that cared. What I don't see today is that. I,
Well, well, but I think also what you saw in Grammy is this also what which I'm envy of. And that is you saw uh, you saw like-minded people of of a same color, same skin, man, caring for each other,
yes,
right? And then Grambling being there, being this academic institution, then that had its ripple effects, you know, on all those folks who are surrounded there, right? Because that in itself was like it was an island on itself. But I mean, but it's an island that was drawing the best and brightest. I mean, when you think about Eddie Robinson, I think at one time, the NFL, all the players coming out of Grambling, and so it had this overall arching effect of not only being a powerful athletic school, but also the academics was there, and those things, hey, ripple effect have those when you have a healthy institution, uh, right, that- that's designed to uplift others,
yeah,
life experiences. That's a lot different than an institution that is based off of making money off of kids playing sports.
right, right, right. And 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 I do understand that, and I see that. Um, and that's why I say, there was from from the elementary teachers to the high school teachers, it was all about just, it was not we gonna let you fail. It was we finna pour into you, and not just for you to stay here, but for you to go out into the world. And I wish that there was more places like that and more um, towns, cities, whatever.
Well, see, but I'm gonna tell you something. You're right, and I love the fact that you got folks like Deion Sanders and some of those guys coming back to do something. But see, this is why it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because of the outcomes that you are a part of.
Mm,
And see, for instance, when we had our all black schools here, we experienced some of those things, and it's fascinating when I talk to graduates of the all black high school. They're so intellectually, no matter who they are, most of them intellectually on point, right?
right,
Because of what was put in them by that group of that group of those group of teachers,
right, right.
and there was an all black teacher, and so see, and then also when you're in an all black environment, what you also is working with is this, is that you have to be twice as good as they are.
Mm,
Except for you're really trying to make the effort
right, right,
to make sure that when those kids and those students leave there, that they have all the skills and tools they need to be successful in any endeavor that they encounter.
right. That's so true. That's so true. And and I like you said, and I understand like it may be a far fetched thing now. It might be far fetched. And
I
that
think you can find it in pockets. I mean, no, I mean, no, I think you can find it in pockets because you still got some of those institutions.
right.
But I think another thing that's done happened to society is, you know, America's creed is greed.
Mm, yes.
And so, you know, when greed, and at the same time, see, this is the hypocrisy of this place. And at the same time, it tells you, at least someone would tell you that the of evil is the love of money. But as I said, greed is an American creed. I mean, we're some of these people are so greedy. Well, they have places where they go and hide their money at. They hire people
Right, right,
just to figure out how to keep something that they can't take with them.
right. That's true.
You know?
You look. You spot on. You spot on that. And that's unfortunate. And and so many have bought into it. Is that's it. I will step over my brother. I'll step over my sister to pick up that dime on the ground. And man, for me, I just shake my head about it because it's. I just believe you can't take. I know you can't take it with you. I mean, you can do what you want, but I already said, them old maggots eat that old money up, and the government gonna take that the maggots don't eat up. And but we have become such a society of what is that thing they were saying? Chasing the bag at any cost. At any
Well,
cost, we chasing the bag.
well, I'm gonna tell you something. Again, man, the OJ said a long time ago, man. OJ said for the love of money, man, people can't even walk the streets. People, hey,
Yeah.
people, but I think he said he'll rob their own mamas. I mean, I mean, and so, I mean, so I'm still jamming to the OJs. You know what I'm saying?
And but it is. When I see those things and I'm not saying that for me, I thought it one, not like I said, I had that awakening. I had that interruption where I thought that going out here and making and working and doing this and that was what family was about. That's what kids were about, was the fact let's go out here and work. And then I understood like it's not about that. It's not. You know what? I can buy my baby a million things, but I don't spend no time with her. Them things, all she gonna remember is the fact that I wasn't there.
That's right. I got you. I mean, no, no. I mean, and time is a thing that can elude you.
Yes.
And it's not. Again, I can remember a song growing up when I was a kid, and I think it's a white brother saying, "Say, if I could save time in the bottle,
Mm,
you know." But the fact of the matter is that you can't save time in the bottle,
right. Right.
and so that's why being present
Yes.
is so meaningful.
Yes,
Being
indeed.
present is so meaningful. Right? But
Yes.
not only being present, but it's how you being present also.
Right.
you
Right.
know,
That's the
and
difference
and
right there.
and then create memories, man. That's what I try to talk to. And create memories, create memories, So therefore, you're as you grow older, you'll have something you can talk about.
Right. Right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, KT, look here. I know it's getting late up there in old Austin, and I know that the governor gonna be calling you to the governor's mansion tomorrow. But what I need you to do is if you would your last word. Hold on. Just come down a little bit. If you would, what I'm gonna do is give you this last minute to give your last words, whatever it may be, whatever you
Yeah.
want to leave the people with. You just have your way.
No, I just want to tell the people, first of all, thank you for this venue, but I just want to tell people this, man, is that
Daddy,
thus far
I will bless
you only get one opportunity. Now, I will tell people this, but I would say if I have a young kid, hey, that James Webb telescope, hey, I would introduce my kids to that James Webb telescope. There's some far-reaching things out there.
Mm,
Now, what we have been told is that we don't know, we know all the things underneath the sun, but we have no idea what's beyond the sun.
right, right.
Uh, uh, and so it seems to me that that's fascinating. Hey, live life to where you leave the space that you occupy better than you found.
Mm, yes,
I mean, live life, where you leave the space that you occupy better than you found. Right?
most definitely.
Um, and do it with some intentionality. You know, It's nothing wrong with being good. It's nothing wrong with being nice. And it sure is nothing wrong with being good to yourself.
Right, right.
Yeah. And I think sometimes the best way you can be good to yourself is by being good to other people. Hey, my brother, I do appreciate you, man.
Hey, well, you know what, KT? I thank you so much. I thank you. And like I tell everybody, y'all go and support and follow. People have come on here and they poured their hearts out, they poured their souls out, and they're out here doing wonderful things, not only in their communities, but in their cities, in their states. In the
Well,
least,
you see who I got behind me.
I see.
That's my man. I had the pleasure. I got that poster from Nelson Mandela when he was still incarcerated. He was still
Wow.
Robinson. That poster. In fact, the individual gave me that poster. His wife ended up working for.
Oh, wow.
Nelson Mandela. Yes.
Wow. Man, and like I said, it's man, I thank you. I do. I thank you for taking the time out to come and grace the table. And as I always say, to be the special guest chef to bring a dish to the table.
But I do appreciate you, man.
Yeah, our special dish. As the old country boy said each and every time before I get up out of here, first of all, I thank y'all for tuning in. I thank y'all for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And before I get out of here, you want to say bye? You want to tell them bye? Say bye.
Bye.
There she goes.
Bye.
Look here. I love each and every one of y'all unconditionally, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. KT, I greatly appreciate it. Thank y'all. We out of here.
Peace. All right, be good.